Sure, thanks. I think listless is probably better than sinking. So from that perspective, I feel relatively benign about the dry cargo market. I was thinking about what I was going to mention as I got up here, and the fact that it is listless is probably a cause for optimism. And as I think about the overall sectors as you compare them to one another, tanker market's doing great, as we just heard. But if you do look into the future, 20, 30 years from now, we tend to buy ships for that period of time, I have bigger questions about the tanker market. Many of us may not be working or maybe be here in 30 years, but I do think longer term from an investment perspective, I feel a little bit more happy about the dry cargo market because it's come down. We're not where we were in the fall of last year, but it's actually come down to a not unreasonable place if we look at a large scope of history. And the fundamentals are relatively attractive. I think over time you'll probably see electric vehicles slowly increase their percentage of the total car market, but I think you're still going to need to move food, commodities around the world. So as a long-term investor, I feel pretty reasonably happy about dry cargo, and I think it's not a bad place to be. You're not going to knock the cover off the ball and make a huge fortune necessarily in the near term, but you'll make a reasonable return, I think, for a reasonable amount of investment. And from that perspective, as a high-level comment, I feel okay.
Alex, is it a good place to be?
I have to say yes, but the lack of direction is definitely there. I mean, you talk to people, the fundamentals, as Andy said, are there. I think as ship owners, our key characteristic is that we're like the weather forecast. We open the window, we look like it's raining, and we try to understand why it's raining. So if we try to make forecasts, actually we always get it wrong. So we take a decision with our guts, and we hope for the best. What struck me lately more than anything else is that yes, the fundamentals are there. Yes, there is wars and issues in the world that are scary, but which led to a situation where the market has been driven by a high level of sentiment change. So it's not driven by the whole fundamental game, it's driven by just a fear of the moment. And this is what worries me the most for the short-term situation. On the long term, I agree with Andy. The foreseeable future is actually looking pretty good, averagely good. I won't say amazingly good, but averagely good. But the near future with this whole, volatilistic sentiment is actually worrying me.
Yeah, okay, I'll start here. The danger of complacency. When you hear, oh, it's going to be okay, we've got a lot of money, it kills your market. You're not doing anyone any favors, and being complacent and being okay with a market that's listless but the returns are fine is just going to be digging yourself into a hole, and certainly your opportunity cost is very high. And I think we have to be less complacent in general. And my second point would be, the best thing we can do for ourselves, certainly in dry cargo, is to be selfless and not selfish, and cooperate more as an owning community, and frankly not be complacent. That's what always kills our market. I can tell you you're going to hear me say this all the time, and I try not to be complacent, but fundamentally, rates are way too low right now, period. And that's because we've been sitting complacent over the summer, in my mind.
So the owners can drive it back up?
Absolutely.
But you're in a specialist, specialist trades. I mean, do you follow that view of the sort of conventional bulk carrier owners?
Largely yes, but I think in the sub-Panamax market, I'm kind of quite optimistic. I think if you look at the age profile there, you've got 40 to 50,000 deadweight. I think half the fleet is over 20 years. So on top of, yes, there's some uncertainty about where we are in the global economy, but when you look at minor bulks, a lot of those commodities, I think, are safer bets, whether it's for food production or look at forest products and the whole move away from plastics and so on, and then you move into offshore wind and the requirements there for steels and so on. So Yeah, I mean, in terms of the longer trend, I'm on the smaller sizes. I am quite positive. I think the question really is the next sort of 2023, and so how's that going to shape up, given what we're looking at from a global economic perspective.